Hello, Trojan fans, and welcome back to another Coach's Corner broadcast. I am your new host, Maddie Kaplan, and today I'm pretty excited. We're going to be talking to the volleyball coach, the football coach, and the cross country coach, and we're going to find out the new details and the upcoming events about those three teams here at Dakota State University. So let's get right into it. Hey, Trojan fans, I'm here with head coach Amy Veenhoff. The volleyball team was rather successful this past weekend, so let's recap what exactly went down. The Trojans were down in West Point, Florida, at the Chick-fil-A volleyball tournament this past weekend. They went 3-1 against universities such as Georgetown, Loyola, Olivet Nazarene, and Columbia International. So, Coach Veenhoff, it seemed like you guys had a really great tournament this past weekend. What were some key elements for your guys' success down there?
Yeah, the three matches that we won, we were really hitting the ball well. Our offense was clicking, and we were in system, and so we were able to terminate a lot right away on the first ball, which is really important in volleyball. The game that we lost, we were out of system for most of that match. They had really tough servers, Loyola did, and so we had a hard time getting in system, and that's one of the things that we need to work on is being able to terminate the ball when we're out of system, when it's not a good pass or it's not a good set for our hitters, and our hitters need to adjust and find ways to be successful with those type of attacks. So that was kind of the big struggle with that match. And just, I think Friday when we played our first two games, the girls were ready to go. They came out super hot, which was great. And then I think I don't know, maybe the travel that we had to do to get down there got to them a little bit, and they were tired for that first one on Saturday morning. I'm not sure what the deal was, but we were just kind of flat. And like I said, we weren't in system, and that was a big part of it as well. But then they responded really well and woke up for that last match against Georgetown and played really well again. But yeah, offensively, I think we did a really good job, and we spread the ball around quite a bit. We have Hannah Veet back this year as the super senior, and she played phenomenal when we were down there. Not only hitting, but she got a lot of blocks on the net as well. And then she stayed in and served a few of the matches and went on big runs for us at the serving line, which was great. And then Sydney Shell, our sophomore outside hitter, she came out and was just, I don't know, destroying the ball. She was just getting up and hitting it super hard, and it was a lot of fun. She had a lot of success on Friday in both matches. Struggled a little bit in that first game Saturday again, and I don't know, we just weren't clicking as well that match. But yeah, and then came around and finished the tournament strong in the last match, having quite a few kills and having a high hitting percentage. So those were our two main, I think, players offensively, but they did spread the ball around. Riley Grand Prix got some kills for us. Vanessa Schrader got some kills for us and hit well. Brooklyn Grage, our other outside, she got some kills for us. So I think offensively it was really big that, we were able to terminate the ball as much as we were and have such a high hitting percentage. And then serve and pass, is the other part that's super important in volleyball. And serving-wise, we served pretty tough overall. I think most of our matches we had more aces than we did serving errors, which is something that we look at. And then we were able to get teams out of system a little bit more. I mean, once we got going and really focused on serving tougher, which was good. And then as far as being in system, I had said really it was just that one match against Loyola that we lost that we had a hard time getting the ball up to our setter so that we could execute our offense. That was probably the biggest thing. So when we are in system and swinging well, it's pretty amazing what we can do.
For sure. Well, and the announcers from the tournament were definitely amazed with your girls. It was wonderful to sit and listen to them talk just about a lot of the girls on the team just working hard, and they were definitely balling over Sydney Shell, calling her Shell Shocker all weekend. So your girls definitely were performing well. It looked like a great event and a great time and great competition as well. I did see on Facebook that you guys stopped at the Cheesecake Factory. The whole team. That looked very fun. So I did have a fun question for you because I am kind of curious. What was the team favorite cheesecake choice?
They got all different sorts of kinds, and they did that on their own. There was some fresh strawberry. There was some that I've never even heard of. Just like I don't know, super super chocolatey. It was crazy what they all got. I just had plain, just regular vanilla cheesecake, so kept it pretty basic, but it was still really good and just something fun for us to go have a nice team dinner together.
That's wonderful, and it definitely looked like you guys had just a great time. So that's awesome. I have one more question for you because you guys are going to be back on the road again here pretty soon. You guys are going to be traveling down to Nebraska for the Doan Triangular. So how is that looking competitive wise, the stack up for your team, and what are some things you guys are looking to accomplish at this next tournament?
Sure. Down at Doan, we play Doan, and then we play Mid America Nazarene. And Doan was at the tournament in West Palm Beach in Florida where we were. So we got to watch them play a little bit, not a lot. They went 1-3. The team that they beat, they won it against Georgetown in 5 sets. So I think they're down a little bit. They were a team that was receiving votes preseason. I really don't know much, which is frustrating, with this preseason stuff. You don't really know anything about teams yet until we get going a little bit and play some matches. But it should be tough, we're at Doan. They are a team that, is in the GPAC, so they're used to competing against lots of nationally ranked teams. They were a team that was receiving votes as well. So it should be a good matchup. And then the Mid-American Nazarene, I know nothing about. I think they play their first match tonight. And so it's kind of just you go out and play and you worry about your side of the net for the most part for these beginning tournament games and matches that we have because there's not a lot you can prep for these opponents that we see early on.
For sure, for sure. Well, Coach, thank you so much for your time. Congratulations again on the success from this past weekend, and we'll be looking forward to see how your team competes down in Nebraska.
Thanks
Thanks so
so
much.
much, Maddie.
Sure, of course. All right, Trojan fans, I am here with head football coach Josh Anderson. How are you doing today, Coach?
It's been a good day. We're 2 days away from game time, so a lot of excitement in the air. We're just seeing if we can't wrap some things up and get ourselves ready for game day.
That's right. That's right. The Trojans have been busy preparing for the 7th annual Egg Bowl. This will be their season debut, and that is going to be against the Dakota Wesleyan Tigers with a kickoff of 7:05 p.m. this Thursday. How has your team been preparing for this big game, Coach?
Well, we had a great spring season, and then obviously we had a summer to deal with in between the spring and the fall. But we had about 80% of our team here in the summer prepping for what's to come as far as just in the weight room, the details of the offense and defense. And so that made things a lot smoother when we started fall camp. Obviously starting off with such a quality opponent like Dakota Wesleyan, them being our rival, and then also dealing with the fact that we have this huge atmosphere and environment, which is fun to play in, but it also can be kind of tense right away. So there's a lot going on, but we've been really good with our focus. We've got some good veteran guys on the team who have played in these big games, and so that really helps as they keep each other calm, as well as these new guys that are stepping in, whether they're transfers or right out of high school. We've got some things that obviously we got ironed out with our scrimmage with Mount Marty, some things we forgot or didn't put in, or we needed to see if, hey, is this guy really our starter, or there's a divide line right here, like we need to make sure we get one guy off the fence and ready to go. And so it's been really good. It's been really chaotic, but that's what fall camp is all about. And so quite honestly, that means we're right on track.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I also noticed that you have a lot of new offensive staff this year. How are they adjusting to the team, and how is that kind of going for your team adjusting to that new staff?
Yeah, we had some good coaches that took some bigger jobs late in the summer. It's never good timing, never bad timing. We just had to find the right guys to fit in, and we did a really good job of that. Really excited about Coach Randall joining us. He's been with us as a student assistant and as a player in the past, so he has a really good understanding of how I like to run things in a program and how things need to be done offensively. He's been a great asset to me when keeping up with this offense that we're running. And then we hired Coach Yost coming to us from Benedictine College, who's a former DSU Trojan Trojan football alumni. So he's excited to get back, and it didn't take him long to get bought in, which is huge because then it's easier to get along with everybody and understand how things are done. He's been a good friend of mine for a long time, so he's been following us as we've been building this program since I've started over here. So he's pretty well versed with how things are going, and just needed to get in the system to see it for himself. And so it was a transition for sure, but it actually happened pretty easy. And I'm pretty proud of those guys for stepping in right away and doing a good job, just learning the offense, meeting the guys, and getting involved as much as they can right off the bat. So it could have been hectic, but it turned into something pretty good.
That's awesome. That's so great to hear. DSU definitely deserves to have some great alumni back coaching. So that's really exciting to see. We also only got a few previews of the team so far from their boot camp and from the scrimmage that you have had already this year. So are there any individuals that are really standing out, or groups that we should really be looking forward to play this year?
Honestly, it's hard to say. I would like to say yes, but we have a really good quality team altogether. We don't have anybody that's yet that's going to be sticking out and be the super guy to watch and this and that. Like we're pretty well versed in a lot of positions offensively and defensively, and that's why I was talking about with the scrimmage. It was like, man, we've got a guys that were kind of split action here. We've got to make a decision, and one be a starter and one be the backup, and we've got some really good problems on our hand because we've got a lot of talented athletes in the waiting behind some of these starters. And honestly, just like these starters, we're in waiting behind some of the talented athletes that just graduated. So we've been able to build a good culture. The guys that stick around are definitely the ones that matter the most and help us out the most. And so they keep working hard, waiting for their turn. It happens all the time. Sometimes in the middle of the season, there's either an injury or somebody that just isn't producing. So we've got some guys ready to step up when it's their turn. So I really can't say one position or one person sticks out over the others yet. It's just a really good, well-balanced team all around, offensively and defensively, and with our specialists.
For sure. Well, that is exciting news to hear, Coach, and we are excited to see your team debut this upcoming week in the Egg Bowl. So have a great one, and I wish you the best of luck when you guys are playing this weekend.
Well, I appreciate that. This game's going to come a lot faster than we obviously are planned. The Thursday night is fun. It is a different schedule, but it's nice to have Midco there, and it's nice to make such a big event out of it. This Egg Bowl has turned into something really fun for our alumni, our community, and our administration has done a great job of putting this together and really building on it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Coach.
You bet. Take care.
Hey, Trojan fans. I am here with head coach Anthony Dreelan. Anthony is the head coach for cross country and track. And we're just going to be covering a little bit with cross country because the Trojans have been working over the summer to get ready for their fall season this year. They're going to open up their season at the Augustana Twilight down in Sioux Falls here on September 2nd. So, Coach, are you excited about your season opening up?
I'm really excited. It's the summer always is too long, and everyone's training at home, as you know, and you're just ready to get everybody back and get started.
For sure. And I was taking a look through your roster. You guys have a lot of new faces on the team this year, especially on the women's side. How are those athletes adjusting to the team, and how are you feeling kind of heading into the season with this new fresh group?
It's been great so far. We've had a few really good workouts, and just trying to get a sense of where everybody's at. Of course, with transitioning from summer mileage to the workouts and that sort of thing. But it's gone really well. The team has just been extremely fun to work with. Everybody's getting along well as people get to know each other and figure out the sense of humor among teammates and that sort of thing. And but it seems like everyone's bonding really well and working well together, and there's a good sense of camaraderie, I think, and so hopefully that keeps building upon itself. And but I'm really excited for this group that we have coming in and with everybody coming back, and so far it's been great.
That's awesome. Now, on the other hand, you have a lot of really strong returners coming back as well. Jada Anderson, Martin Bailey, Joshua Kroll, just to name a few. There's many, many more. How are these athletes looking so far this year? And what are you excited to see them continue doing as a returner this upcoming season?
Yeah, it's been really good so far. As the athletes that you mentioned and the other returns that we have, they put in a really good summer of work. And so, as with the newcomers, you don't have as strong a sense of how far they can progress in a season, and it can be drastic with how much they can progress. But it's a bit of an unknown. But with all these athletes that are returning, we know where they've been and we know what has worked well for them and what they need to do to be successful. And so I'm hoping there's some pretty good progress in the athletes' times, and they put in the work to do it. So hopefully that combination of training that they've put in and the newcomers pushing the upperclassmen helps them keep progressing and be successful. And so the women's team I think should be a pretty good pack of runners with all of them, and I think that'll help draw a lot out of each other. And then on the men's side, it's we have a ton of athletes who I think can really mix it up in that top 7 and 10 people. So that's going to be really fun to see how that plays out throughout the season.
For sure. Now, the Augustana Twilight is quite a unique meet that DSU travels to. It takes place at dusk, and there's usually a pretty big turnout. How do you think your team will kind of open up their season? Is this going to be just kind of a fun event to kind of see what's in store for the rest of the season? How are you kind of feeling about your team competing at this one for their first meet?
That's a good phrase, a fun event, and you approach every competition with the sense of, wanting to PR and to do well. But not to say that I lower expectations, but we know that we're going to be at our best in October and November. And what we do on September 2nd is important and exciting, but it's just a starting point. So, I'm going to approach it that week of trying to keep everyone relaxed and looking forward to it and going out and putting in a really hard effort, that first race type of effort. And, one of the most difficult efforts they'll have, after a long summer of training. So that's definitely the mentality. We want to go and do well and we want to PR, but it's going to be a great workout, a race simulator, a race, that's going to set us up to keep progressing from there. It's a big meet, so the turnout is pretty strong. So it's one of those where I'm really going to advise the team, get out in the middle of the pack and just try to race people for that flat and fast course, and don't worry too much about strategy so much this first one. Get a feel of racing again, and that'll be the focus.
Oh, that's really exciting, Coach. We're excited to see your team open up on September 2nd down in Sioux Falls. Trojan fans, make sure you all bring your glow sticks for this event because you'll need them.
Absolutely.
Other than that, Coach, thanks for coming in, and we're excited to see your team compete on the 2nd.
Thank you, Maddie.
Thank you. Thanks again for tuning into another Coach's Corner broadcast, everyone. Make sure to check out our website to stay updated on games, events, and matches at www.dsuathletics.com. Until next time, go Trojans.